everything's with you getting your event space can be very situational. So like in some cities, they may require you to have a sprinkler system. It all really depends, because again, it's city to city, state to state. Things are changing with event spaces. They are eliminating that term out of the code of you being able to have it. So you have to be able to give the right verbiage and be up to date on the codes in order to get your space. Welcome back to another episode of Creating Habits. My name is Jarrell, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about event spaces, but we're going to talk about specifically permits. We're going to talk about some occupancy stuff. This was a request by a couple different people, and so I'm going to clear the air on this stuff when it comes to your permits and things like that, and specifically why people don't talk about it on YouTube. So I'm going to really break that down. And hopefully the information that I give, I'm sure is going to help you kind of just figure it out. So before we get into all of that, though, if this is your first time tuning in, listen, we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. So what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. And then I want you to also hit the bell notification so you know when videos like this are actually coming out, when these episodes are coming out. I'm always talking about event space. I'm always talking about entrepreneurship. I talk about relationships. I talk about travel, all sorts of stuff on this channel. So that's pretty much how it breaks down, right? So,
hey y'all, excuse how I look today. I know I just posted the event space yesterday, but I also wanted to give a huge thanks and shout out to my mentor Jarrell and his event space mastermind program that consists of one-on-one and bi-weekly trainings, discussions, courses, and other important material used to opening up an event space. So I first joined his program back in May of this year. It's been a long process, long journey, a lot of researching, but all in all, I was able to do it. I got not just one space, but two. So 2 for 1. So yeah, thanks again, Jarrell. I really appreciate you and your help. And please.
Here's the thing: permits are going. So, giving you a full transparency for those of y'all that don't know, I went to Chicago Real Estate School, former real estate agent. So permits, occupancy stuff, licensing, all of that, it's going to just flat out vary on who you are and what you're trying to do with the business. All right. It's like, just think about it like this, like a liquor license, for instance, that's a license, right? That license is going to cost, depending on where you are, like in Chicago, that license, the last time I looked at it was like $6,000. But then that's a license that you got to renew all the time for the most part, right? But you have to go through all these extra steps to get that license. Now, then you also got your other licensing that has to do with how many people can be in your space, your occupancy license.
Tell you that you need to go ahead and get your event space. You need to find your location, and if you don't know how to find it, I want to help you find it. All right, I can teach you how to start the space, how to find the space, how to fund it, how to launch it, like your own profitable event space business. And I want to help you get started ASAP. So all you got to do right now is click the link down below.
Since you got your other different little permits, but see, this is why people don't talk about it, is because it varies so much from city to city, state to state, county to county, all of that. And there are a bunch of other licensings and things that you got to kind of just worry about. Because, for instance, in Chicago, just to give you an example, in Chicago, the people that you would think, so in Chicago, you have kind of like a hierarchy, right? So you got like the Department of Buildings, you got the Business Affairs Office, you got like the fire department, you got these three different entities, right? They're all different. You got other offices that are kind of entangled in this business, setting up a new business as well. Now, I'm using this example to kind of give you an idea of why it's hard to talk about licensing for it to really benefit you. Because I really want you to understand, like, why I tell people, like, that's one of the things that I kind of just reserve for like a course or my coaching program. But this is not me trying to sell you into that. I just want you to really understand that, like, you can do the work to figure this stuff out on your own, or you can kind of jump into somebody's program and then figure it out that way. But here's how it works in Chicago. There was a situation where something that a licensing thing, whereas the fire department said we were clear, but a different office said that we weren't clear, right? So in situations like that, everything's with you getting your event space can be very situational. So like in some cities, they may require you to have a sprinkler system. It all really depends, because again, it's city to city, state to state. And then there was another scenario in the city where that other building that I was talking about, that other office, cared about, they didn't care about one thing, but then the fire department cared about the thing that they didn't care about, right? So I'm saying all this to say, like, these different offices, like, they have to talk to each other. So it can be a very strenuous process to jump through all the hoops and like kind of just figure it out, because you might need an occupancy license, you might not. But just some things to think about when you start to think about, like, well, how many people, for one, you should have an idea of how many people you're looking to have in your space.
Tell my experience. It wasn't an easy experience by no means, but we got there, and we can all get there, but it definitely moved at a way faster pace after I joined the masterminds. I mean, after signing up and watching just like the online videos, a few of the videos, I was able to apply what I've learned and I've listened to, and immediately secure a spot. It was almost immediate. Like, next day I was calling people with different verbiage and what I needed to say, and I got so much more traffic just after that one day, and I was able to secure a spot after a couple weeks. So we're in here, we're rocking and rolling. I just want to thank the masterminds class and our teacher, and because when I tell you, it just made the process way faster. This thing can take a long time if you don't have the proper guidance. So it's very important to get someone that kind of can show you their mistakes and, show you their knowledge and fast track you. So I just want to say good luck to everyone, and I'm excited. And if you're ever in Atlanta, hit me up, come see my space.
And I think that's really is what, like, we're thinking that we need all these people, and you don't. More people, more problems. To think about it like this, in a school system, I used to work in the education system. In a school system, they have basically one teacher to every like 20 to 30 students, right? So if that one teacher has an issue, and I used to have to like teach classes, if that one teacher has an issue with these 30 students, what makes you think one person who books can handle 100 adults and give them instruction on what to do? So like, we got to really understand, like, do I really need to have a space that holds 100 people? What am I really trying to do? And I really want you to like sit back before you worried about the permits and the licensing and all that. what are you going to do with your space? And don't just say events, because there's a ton of different things that fall under events. A comedy show is an event. A Valentine's Day party is an event. A Christmas party is an event. What specifically, though, are you going to do? And does that specific thing require 100 people, 150 people, 300 people? Because I'm really thinking that I'm seeing so many people make these mistakes where they're thinking that, well, I need to, for one, you're looking at these venues and you're thinking that, oh man, I need to have this all this space and all these people, and it doesn't take that. It's only going to be one person that's going to book. At the end of the day, one person is going to book. Depending on how you got your stuff set up, one person is going to book. One person ain't going to be on a contract, maybe two. If it's a situation like they're getting married or something like that, maybe you do that. But one person is going to book. So that one person, you're saying that that one individual is responsible for all these people. So you need to keep that in mind when you start to talk about occupancy, because the landlords and the real estate agents, they're going to want to know how many people that you plan on having. So I want you to kind of just like figure that out. Like, let that be a real thing that you actually figure out. And I want you to like figure that thing out soon. I want you to really figure that out soon, like soon.
You're thinking about getting started with your event space. You're thinking about, opening up a location in your city, but you don't know the steps. You don't know how to find the space. You don't know how to fund the space. You don't really know how to even run the business. But what you do know is that you want to be able to make money while you're like not actually in the space. You want to be able to make, that automatic and that passive income. So here's what I want to do. I want to show you exactly how you can get started in the event space business. All you got to do is click the link down below.
I think like I've seen so many people on the channel with different things. Like I look at all the comments, right? And I've seen some people say, Drill, like I've been able to get my event space just from what, I've been able to do it on my own, right? Like, thank you. And like that's amazing to me, because you went out and you did some extra work. There's no way that I can give all the details on getting your event space, because the moment that I do that and then it doesn't work for you, then there's going to be that one person and there's going to be like, oh, well, this didn't work and this is this. But I don't want to give you misleading information, because event spaces are not a one situation fits all, which is why, and again, this is not about, I'm not trying to sell y'all nothing. Everybody knows I have coaching programs and all that. So it's not about that. I'm trying to get you, I want you to understand that there's not a one situation fits all. And that's why you run into a lot of the problems that you run into, is because you probably need to go work with someone that knows your city, knows your state, or have access to that information from your city, your state, the municipal, like the codes that you have to be within. Because in Chicago, there's a certain code that you have to be within to have an event space. Now, in Chicago, they kind of just obliterated this code though. So they switched this code out. So where you technically, unless you already have one, you can't go get a new one. Technically, you can't use the term. They like when they put out in 2022 at the end of the year, they put out a new code for businesses and where you can have the usage type of your business and where you can have it at. And in that new code, there are sections for the different types of business. You got auto body shops, you got tax offices, you got schools, you got all these different business types, right? There was never a section for event spaces. But in 2022, they put event spaces, and then you look at all the different codes that it could potentially fall under or where you could do this business at. There's nothing there. And that is because there's been an influx of people looking for event spaces or trying to do event spaces, and they're giving them such a really bad name because they don't understand that when you just say event space, then you run into problems. This is why I tell people like, hey, these are the benefits of just working with someone. I'm not telling you to work with me. I mean, I know I got the best. I know I got the best program out. I know I got the best program out. And it's not just because I'm saying I got the best, because I'm actually a former agent. So but I'm not telling you to work with me. This is not what this video is about. I'm saying this to say, like, things are changing with event spaces. They are eliminating that term out of the code of you being able to have it. So you have to be able to give the right verbiage and be up to date on the codes in order to get your space. There's no way possible I can do all 50 states. Where I could do all 50 states, but that'd be 50 videos on all 50 states. And then it's not just a state code thing. It's an actual city code thing. So you have state laws, and then you have individual county laws, right? And so county laws vary. That's why you got places in Chicago that are going to be very strict with the terminology of, like, because there are plenty of event spaces in Chicago, but are they actually called event spaces? They're not. But do people use them for event spaces? They do. So when you say, oh, well, I see the comments, like, I see all y'all comments and I appreciate y'all. And this is like, I'm letting y'all know that, like, this is why it's because I don't think people really understand. It's so super difficult because everything varies county to county, city to city, rural area to rural area, whatever. It varies. What goes on in Chicago, in the city part of Chicago, is not the same laws that you got to abide by in terms of a business in something like a Calumet City, something like a South Holland, something like a Orland Park. They're not the same, right? Now, because they have their own kind of, like, a Orland Park has its own, even though it's still in technically Cook County, it still can have its own individual, like, ordinance for businesses. And that's what makes it so difficult for people, because, like, that's why I see so many comments. I get them in my YouTube, I get them on Instagram, I get them everywhere. Well, what do I do? And it's just like, your state is not enough. It's gonna vary. Like giving you a rundown. When people join my program, for instance, I ask them a couple different questions and I figure out all the places that they're looking in, and then I give them the codes for all of those places. So, and I'm, again, not saying this for you to join. I just really want you to understand everything is different, right? So one of the things the biggest piece that I want you to take away from this is knowing that, figure out how many people you want to have in your space. Figure out whether or not you want to do a liquor license. Figure out whether or not you want to do a beer and wine license. Not the same thing. Figure out whether or not you want to do, figure out whether or not, like, how you're going to have, is it going to be catered food or not? If you're going to have food or not in there, that's going to have some sort of impact on it. And that's going to vary city to city, state to state. Figure out whether or not your doors, how your doors are set up, that has something to do with it. How many exits there are, that has something to do with it. Bathrooms has something to do with it. It's like, it is so many factors that determine licensing, whether or not you'll be approved, whether or not you won't be approved. It's like, look. And so this is why I say, like, it's so important to just, like, everybody's out here trying to get an event space. And it's like, look, just get out here, honestly. And it's two ways you're going to do it. You're going to do it 100% by yourself. And you're going to watch a lot of YouTube videos, my videos, other people's videos, whoever videos, right? And you're going to try to figure it out. And you can figure it out on your own. And that's cool. And that's perfect. I want you to be able to figure it out, whether you do coaching or you don't. Well, that's the first way you're going to do it. Now, that's going to take a lot of time. Or you're just going to work with somebody directly and join their program and get the answers that you want very quickly. But those are the two ways to kind of just go through it. If I showed y'all the list, because I have the actual website that every city uses, not even just the website, I get, like, all the codes, right? It's different literally everywhere. And so it's like, it's all in, but a lot of it, that's why I tell you all the time, like, just join a free class and I kind of cover some of this stuff. Like, it's really in the usage. what are you going to use the space for? And a lot of people don't know what they want to use it for. A lot of people are telling me, well, I want to do birthday parties, but then I want to do weddings, but then I want to do corporate events, then I want to do bridal showers, then I want to do MLM stuff, then I want to do comedy shows, then I want to do this, then I want to do that, then I want to do this, then I want to do that. And the problem where that lies is that if you tell that to a real estate agent or a landlord, it sounds like you're all over the place, because they already don't think that this is a real business. Most people that don't really know about event spaces, they don't really understand that it's a real business model. They don't think it's a real business. So when you tell them you want to do all these different types of events, they're like, you all over the place. Who is your, like a real estate agent or landlord is wondering, who is your direct client and how are you going to get in front of them?
Hey, I just want to spend a special shout out to Jarrell. He has definitely helped me assist with everything as far as regarding my event space and selfie museum. As you can see, I'm in one of the booths right now, working RVA Selfie Museum in Richmond, Virginia. But special shout out to him. He has definitely helped me get my space in order, and I definitely appreciate his support on everything that I am trying to do here in my space. So shout out to Jarrell. Thank you.
And so just consider that. I want y'all to consider that stuff. And it's like, I'm just, this video, like this episode was just to clear the air on it. Like, I really want to kind of go just in detail, like give y'all real examples. Like we were denied on the road to changing some things around and on the road to getting the space, all because somebody said yes and one other office said no. And that's the thing, like, that's why it's so different. The fire department may say yes and may think you're fine, but there may be a business office in your city that may say, yo, no, that like your inspector may say no. You know what I mean? So it's like, everything is so, it's becoming more and more strict. They're trying to regulate it more and more. And so you really got to be up to date, and you got to have the codes. You got to have the up-to-date codes. And it's just like, I'm lucky to say that, like, I get all like I get all the up-to-date codes. I have real estate friends. I have these sites already. And it's just like, I know about this stuff because I know real estate. Like in my real estate book, there's like real estate laws and all types of stuff. So like, I don't know, like, but I hope that this helps. I hope you understand like more that it's like, it's not about any one license that you need. You may need one more than the other. Like in Chicago, for instance, giving you a really example with occupancy. Chicago generally gives you an occupancy based like if you have probably about, based on how your doors open and close, and if you have if you got probably about a 2,500 square foot location, they'll let you have 100 people in there. But you have to get a different type of license in Chicago if you want, I mean, they'll let you have 99 people. But if you want 100 people, literally one more person, you have to get a different sort of license. And so those licenses and why you have to get them are different, completely different. And they're all just, and honestly, they're all based on the laws of the business offices, right? So it's not like any one reason why it's like that. It's multiple reasons. So I just really, I really need you to just, I mean, man, do the research, do the work, you know, or expedite the process and just get the help. I mean, that's really the honestly, that's all it is. Like, I mean, I do these videos to help y'all out as much as I can, while also being very fair and respectable to my community. But it's just some stuff that is just, I'm not going to be misleading. And it would be very misleading to tell you to just say, oh, you need this license and this license and this license. And when that doesn't even apply in your state. The stuff that it took me to get to open up is not some of the same stuff that it took like my mentees in Florida. Not some of the same stuff it took my mentees in Texas. Not some of the same stuff it took my mentees in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And all the other places in the US, I got them. Georgia. I got them a little sprinkles of everywhere, US and outside of the US. So it's like, what it took me is not going to be what it's going to take you. And that's the whole purpose of me having the code, to kind of just walk people through that different stuff. And it's just like, it'd be too much to, because you're not just it's not a state to state code, it's a city to city code, sometimes county to county. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you got a better understanding that licensing is a lot more difficult. It's not as simple as you may think it is. And I feel like a lot of people think that this process is super simple, and they're putting out, they're so opposed and thinking that people are like just trying to scam them and stuff by selling stuff. And it's like, no, it's a very strenuous process. It's easy, but it's strenuous. It becomes easy once you know how to do it, but it's strenuous, and you're not going to understand. You know, walking you through it is going to take time. And if anybody is telling you like, hey, look, pay me for a call, or pay me for this, or pay me for a program, is because you're paying for their time, and you're paying not to make the mistakes and to expedite the time. You're not paying them, you're paying yourself. And so like, I want us to really like get over that. Get over the fact, like, invest in you. That is the best thing that you can do, because your time is valuable. You do not want to be looking for a space for 8 months, a year. You don't want to do that. You don't, because it doesn't take that long once you know everything of what to do. And that's why it's just like, yo, you got to get to that point where it's like, yo, I can just know everything quickly. Instead of, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. It's a waste of time to go on YouTube and try to figure it out and watch all these different YouTube videos, because everybody's going to tell you something different. But guess what? I'm probably one of the only people, or one of the few people out here that are telling you like, yo, the stuff is different state to state. You got a lot of people that are going to tell you, oh, no, it's all the same. It's not all the same. It is not all the same. What goes on in Florida is different from what goes on in California. What goes on in Texas is different from what goes on in Oregon. What goes on in Georgia is different from what goes on in Chicago. What goes on in New Jersey is different, and rules and regulation is different from what goes on in New York. It's all different. So I wish you well on this event space journey. I got a ton of other videos that can help you finding your location and things like that. And everybody that knows, yes, I have a coaching program that helps people get event spaces, where I walk you through all the stuff that you got questions about. I walk you through it, all of it. So like, any question you could pretty much come to mind and think about, I can walk you through that stuff. So because like after having this coaching program, I've been met with so many questions. But the fact of the matter is that after going to real estate school and having to pass the real estate test, an exam, I was faced with all sorts of things. So I've been in the space that you're in, but on the other side. Like, I've been the agent walking people through seeing property. You know what I'm saying? And I had to answer questions then. And I'm in the space now where I'm coaching people and helping them get their event spaces and making the process easier. So again, this is not about that. Like, it's not about like people that want to, my program is for who it's for, and it's cool if it's not for you, and it's cool if it is for you. I just want you to understand that things aren't as simple as you may think they should be, or as you want them to be, because if it was so simple, everybody will have event spaces, and you would probably have yours now too if it was extremely simple. But the process is not simple, and it's just what it is. Everybody's going to paint the picture that it is. The formula is simple, but the process to getting one isn't simple. You got to jump through some hoops. So that's it. Just wanted to clear the air on these permits and stuff like that. And like, they really differ. But I gave y'all the stuff that you really need to know about. So think about having people under 100. I spoke about this stuff before. Think about having people under 100 people. Think about getting a beer and wine license instead of a straight out liquor license. Compare those prices. And just think about your usage. What are you going to use the space for? Like, that's what you really want to think about. So peace and blessings. I hope this helped.